there's so much at stake here. It's not just about sort of, I think people think, reduce VAT for hospitality operators to have more profit. That's not what this is about. It's to survive. It's to help grow and invest in people.
I'm Phoebe Fraser from the Morning Advertiser, and I'm here at the Corinth here in London at Tom Kerridge's Bar and Grill to discuss the That's the Problem campaign ahead of its consumer push later this week. We've spoken to various chefs and operators about what it will mean for their business and how important it is to the whole sector and the UK in general. What's made this the right moment for you to front the national campaign?
I think we just came to a point of recognition that hospitality was being pushed across the board, from pubs, bars, clubs, restaurants, hotels, coffee shops, sandwich bars. Everyone and everywhere you went, all the touch points were feeling so much pressure, and there was no escape. And everybody wanted something different, whether it's business rates, whether it's beer duties, whether it's whatever. But actually, the one thing that affects all of us is a VAT reduction, and it was an opportunity to try and put it in line with the rest of Europe, to have a conversation. I've been very fortunate. I've done a number of panel conversations on political spaces with members of government, and been able to have conversation with front bench ministers and explain the situation. And it felt like, for the first time in years, that they were listening.
Yeah.
Not necessarily through Treasury. I hadn't been able to have those conversations at that point, but actually business and trade, culture, there was an understanding that something needed to be done. So then the idea of trying to bring all the trade bodies together, represent hospitality as a bigger picture, and try and get all of us, no matter what sector of hospitality we're from, to try and drive this conversation and try and get 1 million signatures onto the petition, was something that was so vital to us. So it felt like it was a moment in time that just worked.
And you're asking for that to be cut to 10%. What would that actually change for pubs, restaurants and other hospitality groups on the ground within the first few months?
I think that in the first few months, what it would do is allow it just a release of pressure. It would allow businesses to survive. It would allow things to get paid. Like, I would bet that pretty much every hospitality business somewhere along the line has an unpaid or an outstanding bill of something that they've asked for deferment of payment. Can they sort it out in next month? Can they? Now, whether that's with VAT, whether that's with their meat supplier, whether that's with the beer, there is somebody somewhere that they're worried every month about making the payroll and making the pay runs proper. So first of all, what that would do is allow a little bit of that pressure relief to start moving business, to start getting oil in the wheels of the business to be able to move again. And then long term, it then just starts becoming about, once you've got the momentum going, you can start looking at growth, you can look at investment, you can look at re-employment, all of those sort of things that come with successful businesses.
When you speak to other chefs, publicans, restaurateurs, what are they telling you about how close many businesses are to the edge?
Every single person I speak to says it's incredibly difficult. And that ranges from not being able to pay the bills, from being put on stop, from worrying about how they pay on staff, to much smaller independents and, owner operators reinvesting, remortgaging, selling property, putting life savings into their business just to survive. Now, there comes a point where if it continues down that line, once life savings are gone, once everything else is gone, the business goes. Yeah. And when businesses goes, communities start shutting down. And
can you give me one example from your own businesses where a VAT cut could make an immediate difference?
Oh, I mean, it would make an immediate difference across all of the spaces. I mean, most of our operations operate at break even at the minute. One of them is operating at around about 115% cost. So straight away, that's one that would just go, okay, maybe that could drop into the break-even zone, and it is about surviving.
What are the biggest pressures you're facing right now?
The biggest pressures that I'm facing, that everybody's facing, is making this work, and surely as an economy, as a sector, as the United Kingdom, we want to grow. We don't want to suppress, ambition. Entrepreneurs who want to sort of, run businesses, grow businesses, and something needs to change, because if we don't change something, we're going to lose these amazing places. We're being taxed out, and if we don't change, we're going to lose it, and we're going to suppress ambition and creativity, and that really is a crying shame. And the thing I want to get clear is, when you sort of see in the comments, is that cutting VAT by 10%, it helps, but it's not solving anything. Business rates are through the roof, the cost of raw materials, national insurance, everything. People want to employ more people, so you kind of create amazing opportunities for young people.
We came up with the VAT's the problem, trying to bring VAT in line with the rest of Europe and trying to make sure that it gives hospitality the chance to operate and move forward. The idea was to launch on June the 1st into the industry, to let everybody know within the industry that this is what we're doing. We are culminating together, we are moving ourselves together as one collective force that represents every single part of the sector, every single one of us that are trying to drive it forward. And the idea then was to let everybody know that there will be all the collateral, all the bits and bobs, all the branding, all the QR codes, all those sort of things that are available. They're all coming down the line in a kind of a toolkit that every hospitality business, whether it's a pub, bar, restaurant, hotel, no matter where it is, to take that stuff and then be able to launch, which is quite significant, which is July the 1st. So it's given us a month to get to this point. Now we can now launch July the 1st into consumers. So everybody, all the toolkits available on the website for every hospitality business to be able to either download, print themselves, or purchase from there, to then be able to get onto their guest, their consumer that comes to the door, and let them know that we are trying to get 1 million signatures onto the VAT's the problem petition, to raise the awareness for the government, to try and have that conversation.
Can you tell me from Green King's perspective what a VAT cut would mean in practical terms for your estate?
Yeah, look, I think for any business, a cut in VAT is going to be really important, and not least for Green King. You know, our ability to continue to drive support for the nearly 1,000 tenants that we've got would rely on some of that ability from the VAT cut, our ability to increase investment in our existing estates, managed pubs and in our tenanted pubs, and also our ability to really drive employment in this sector. One of the things that we all know about this sector is that we can create jobs very quickly if we're given the right circumstances. We can create jobs for young people, which right now is so important. And you can see from stats from the industry on our own stats, we are employing less younger people under 21s than we were 3 years ago. And that cannot be a good thing for society. So our ability to keep our pubs operating, to keep investing, and for the wider industry supporting communities across the whole of this country is critical. And that 10% reduction will help all of those things.
And how much harder has it become to run pubs since the latest increases in employment costs, wider tax pressures, etc.?
Yeah, look, whether it's me and my team running a big business or whether you're an individual operator, it has become harder. You're having to make much tougher decisions about where you put money, where you invest, and also employment, which is extremely difficult. So it's become harder. It's been harder since post-COVID. It's the layering on of costs that our industry has had to take on over the last 4 or 5 years has made it really difficult. And that's not stuff we want to be doing. And those decisions aren't the decisions we want to be making. We want to be creating great experiences for our customers and creating great places for every member of our society, every community to come together. And that's what we all exist for, and that's what we want to continue doing.
And for leased and tenanted pubs, how would a VAT cut make a difference compared with managed houses?
Look, I think you have to look at it in the round, and I think if you start to look at the different models, it's hard to apply anything different. So you look at this in totality, you go a 10% reduction in VAT would give us as a big company the breathing space to help support our tenants. We all want to do that. It would give us as a managed operator the breathing space to employ more people and to look at our investment in a different way. So we invest hundreds of millions of pounds both in our managed estate and our tenanted estate, and we want to continue doing that to enable us to improve our position and improve growth, but also to help our tenants and support them through what are very, very difficult times.
And will you be rolling out the sort of coasters and signposts into Green King pubs?
Yeah, we're looking at supporting the campaign, whether that's through our digital channels. Obviously we do a lot through digital now, and through our social media channels, but also in pub as well. So yeah, we're looking to do that and support what I think is a really important campaign at a very important time. Hospitality has been talked about. Andy Burnham, if he's going to be PM, has talked about reduction in business rates, which would be very welcome. He's also talked about supporting a reduction in VAT. It is great they are talking about that, And great, he's talking about that.
Yeah,
We'll see what
deliver on
happens
it.
in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
He needs to deliver on it, and hopefully he will.